Hey, what's going on, Off One Island fans? It's your boy, Music and Nerd, and it's about to be a minute with Music Nerd going over the fact that we did it, we did it, we did it. After all of the back and forth, after all of the misfortune, after all of the BS that it seemed like your Miami Hurricanes are going for ring number 6. Your Miami Hurricanes are the number 10 seed in the playoffs, the last team in. Can I hear it? Can I hear it? So, I gotta ask, like, from more fans, how did y'all feel when it happened? What was your reaction to it when you saw that name, when you saw that you? I know there are a lot of people who got nervous when they saw Bama was 9 and that Bama did not fall. For me, I wasn't as nervous, but I did have a friend who was like, hey, man, I'm sorry, because they thought if Bama stayed there, that there was no way that Miami was going to go in over Notre Dame. I always contended that I thought if they were back to back, there was no way that the committee could say Notre Dame could be in over Miami, no matter what the metrics say. And I've had a lot of arguments with a lot of FSU fans over the last week or so, calling you all out, and you Facebook Notre Dame fans who are actually Florida State fans who are upset about what happened 2 years ago, which I sympathize with because I came on the channel and said it wasn't right what happened to y'all, but going so hard for Notre Dame, and a lot of you can say, "Oh, we didn't really go that hard." Some of y'all were making diagrams of Miami's schedule while refusing to do diagrams of Notre Dame's. Y'all were breaking down side by sides with Notre Dame and Miami, saying that Miami didn't deserve to be in. Some of y'all went really hard for Notre Dame. It got really sad and weird, but you know, we digress. Anyway, so it's like they thought. My friend was like, "Ah, man, hey, I'm sorry, y'all know him." Jay Salt, the Salt thought it was over, but then when Miami came up on that screen, I think it was just kind of universal. It was like, "Oh yes, yes, yes." It was like for me, it was a sigh of relief. I felt that Miami deserved to be in. I'll put it like this: of the teams that were on that bubble, and I went through this when we had our mini podcast last week. I broke down why I felt that Miami deserved to be in over all these teams that were on the bubble. Uh, Now, all of these are great teams, but all of these also are flawed teams. There are no perfect teams here. Even Indiana, who I think is probably who proved really that is they are the best team in the regular season. I think there are things that can get caught them up to. I'm not sure if it's wise to pick against them at this point. The way they are playing, they are playing amazingly. But as you can see, someone who thought I thought Ohio State was going to win, kind of going away, and then the way that Indiana was able to dominate them defensively with that and with probably two of the best receivers in the country. Still, it was just like it was really surprising to see that. And you see that every team has a weakness. This is probably one of the most wide open national championship races, and one of the reasons why you have the playoff. Now, I will say this: the way that this playoff came together, and I talked about this in a mini podcast last week. Um, the rankings, the November rankings were an absolute mess, absolute mess. And I'll get to the Notre Dame part of this in a minute. Anyways, but the rankings are absolute mess. First off, like I said, Miami should never have been 18. Uh, I understand the loss to SMU. I understand that you have to punish Miami for that loss to SMU, even though SMU is still a top 30 team FPI wise. So is Louisville. So, like I said, Miami didn't have any bad losses, but they're unranked teams, so there's a difference there. But like I said, both these teams spent half the season ranked, so whatever. But when it comes down to it, I understand that the AP had to punish Miami. I get that. But the College Football Playoff Committee is supposed to be there to rank them correctly. And I don't think that they ranked them correctly to begin the season. Not at all. 18th was way too low. Miami should have been about 15th, in my opinion, in that first ranking. Like, you punish them, but you don't put them too far. And they overranked Notre Dame all season. Notre Dame was ranked 9th and 10th the entire way until the final ranking. So while I understand as much as I can, I guess, empathize with Notre Dame, I can understand why they are upset that they get left out because they were everyone spent a month telling them, hey, there's no way you get left out. You're solidly in, and they won every game going away. The problem with this is that the committee thought, and I put this in, I think a lot of people have said this too. The committee thought Miami was going to lose again because of the way they played against SMU. my the committee thought Miami was cooked, so the committee didn't think they had a Miami Notre Dame problem, but they did. They did, and I think Miami coming closer and closer and closer each week after Miami would kept showing them what they could be, and how serious they took it, and that they took their advice, which Yurachek or not Yurachek, the first committee had told them that Miami needed to be consistent. They took their advice and they started coming closer and closer. That's when I knew. I was like, Notre Dame has a chance to be out. Now, now I guess when it comes down to it, for me, I was with Herb Street. I felt that Miami should have been in, and really what the argument should have been, and what it should have been, even though it looks like it wasn't, it should have been Alabama versus Notre Dame. Because, and Austin made a good point about this, and also, too, we will be back all new this week. We're off on 99th this week, probably on Friday. So then we'll talk about this again. But Austin made a good point. Alabama, as great as that midseason stretch was, Alabama hadn't beat anyone good in almost 2 months. And then the way that they played against Oklahoma, the way that they played against Auburn, the way that they finished the season, that's one of the reasons why they took it away from Miami last year, the way they finished the season. And then to play a SEC championship game and have -3 rushing yards. Now, we knew Alabama couldn't run the ball. We knew that was their fatal flaw. And that's one of the things we were talking about. All these teams had flaws, and that's Alabama's. They can't run the ball. But -3 rushing yards in a championship game? Come on, man. Come on. I would not have been upset had Alabama been left out. Did I think it was going to happen? Absolutely not. There was no way that the committee was going to let the SEC 1 seed, like Josh Pate said, out after losing a bonus game. And so now we're going to get to the nitty gritty of it when it comes down to really what the issue is with Notre Dame. Now, when it comes down to it, actually, a pundit that I follow, Harris Highlights, he made a good point. The reason why Notre Dame is out is the ACC. And it's not necessarily because Notre Dame won't join it, even though I do think that is a big factor. It's because the ACC messed up with their head-to-head tiebreakers. Now, you could say Miami didn't deserve to be in because they lost to SMU, but when it came to that 5-spot tiebreaker, all of the teams lost to one another. So really, when it came down to it, Miami was the highest ranked there and had the most impressive season. Miami should have been playing for an ACC championship game. It should have been Virginia and Miami. One, because, to be honest, consistently, Miami and Virginia were the best two teams in the ACC as the year went on. So you can argue for SMU, you can argue for Georgia Tech, but when it came down to it consistently, as like I said, it was Virginia and it was Virginia and it was Miami. Now, also you can talk about how Virginia had not really only had one loss, it really had two since they lost to NC State in a non-conference game. But when it comes down to it, when the ACC play started, Virginia was the most consistent team, and Miami was right after them. So, and when you look at the way the games were played, the way Miami won 8 of 10 games by over 17 points. They led by over 10 points in 11 of their 12 games. And really, when it came down to it, the most consistent team was Miami when it came to it. And Miami should have been playing for it. I'm not going to disparage Duke. Congratulations to Duke, but it's a black mark on ACC play that a 7-5 team played for ACC championship and kind of robbed the ACC of having 2 bids and almost robbed them of having any bids when it comes down to it, because there's no way Duke was going to make it. Duke had lost 3 games outside of it, including to a G5 team. Like, no, you don't put a team like that in the playoff. In my opinion, you just can't. So I get why Notre Dame's upset. What I don't get, but what doesn't surprise me at all is the way that Notre Dame is acting right now. You ever seen a spoiled kid not get a present on Christmas, and then they just throw a tantrum that affects the whole house, that brings down everybody? That's what Notre Dame is doing right now. Notre Dame didn't get what they wanted. So Notre Dame is throwing a tantrum and throwing the tree and throwing the ornaments and throwing everything all over the place. Does it surprise me? No. Notre Dame has been the spoiled child of the college football world for the last 25 years. And I know people don't want to say it. They don't want to see it. And the traditional thing is like, no, Notre Dame's not that bad. No, Notre Dame has been a problem. Their independence, while admirable and everything like that, it has caused issues for college football, in my opinion, especially with this new shift towards these super conferences. And the problem is because they won't adjust. Because, I mean, the money, that's why you don't adjust. Which I understand and I get. Hey, you got to make that money. You got to do what's best for your university. But then when it comes down to it, you can't complain when you're getting left behind, when these other teams are risking everything in conferences, in conference championship games, in conference seasons, but you're only basically playing 6 ACC games every year and trying to justify that, while you only play USC and Stanford and Navy every year. I'm sorry, that's not exactly, especially for the last 20 years, it's not exactly a death row of gauntlet. Maybe 15 years ago it was. Maybe it was. But the thing is, Notre Dame still functions as if it is a premier top 5 college football program. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be the only one who says this, but they're not anymore. Now, they're a great program. I have to admit that, even though I do not like Notre Dame. They're a great program. They're a top 15, top 20 program. But the last time they won a national championship was before I was born. I'm 30. I'm going to turn 36 in about 6 months. So when it comes down to it, when you really, like, you're built on being that name, the new Rockney, the Rudies, the this and that, the championships. You're not building your name on championships anymore. You're not getting there. Even though you had these contracts with the BCS, which you only had to get 9 wins to get there, while everyone else had to get 10 or 11. And now you're about to have a clause in the college football playoff, if it doesn't expand, that if you're in the top 12, you're in no matter what. No other team gets that. Now, don't get me wrong. Most Power 5 teams, if they're in the top 12, will be in. But for you to be guaranteed a spot after that. So basically what happened to you this year will never happen again. But then and then the one year that it doesn't, you start throwing a tantrum and blaming the ACC because the ACC has to provide for its one member that's going off for it, that one member that really deserved it. Even though the ACC's never said anything about Notre Dame. All the ACC said was that Miami was deserving, and they proved that they were deserving, and they showed that they were deserving. Now, the ACC did something petty that I think was brilliant. They showed the Miami versus Notre Dame game, and maybe that takes a shot at them, but Notre Dame already knew that. Notre Dame lost to Miami, and Notre Dame spent a month trying to get people to forget the fact that Miami beat them. Head-to-head has to matter in any sport. I really don't care. I really don't care about anything else. That has to be the main data point. And I know that strength of schedule comes before it when it comes to the CFP mandate. But let's be real. If it's not decided on the field, what in the hell is the point? In my opinion, what is the point if it's not settled on the field? And that's really what it came down to. Even when those in that cluster of teams, Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami, and let's throw in Texas, BYU, basically. Out of that team, Alabama had the best win. Georgia, they're in. The second best win was Miami. When it came to the rest, Notre Dame and Miami had four other data points. They had 4 common opponents. Miami beat three of them better than Notre Dame did. When it came down to it, Notre Dame's offense is a little bit more explosive. Miami's defense was way better. That's really what it came down to. Miami proved it on the field again and again. So, for me, to see them kind of whine and moan and do all this and then deny their players another chance to play. Say that we're going to focus on winning a national title for the 2026 season. You're going to focus on trying to win your first national title in 40 years, and you're going to disparage the rest of the team for it. So forget Jeremiah Love, forget all these other players that have spilled blood and tears for you guys. That's it. That's done, right? It's a problem, and it's going to cause a ripple effect. But the thing is, I think that the committee knew this, but I also think the committee looked at the alternative. If you put in Notre Dame over Miami, it's going to cause a ripple effect in the other way. No one's going to schedule Notre Dame. There's no point. You lose, you lose. You win, you lose. So when it came down to it, I think that this was probably the best thing that could have happened for Notre Dame when it came to it. Now, I believe that Notre Dame is better than Alabama. I believe that Notre Dame deserves to be in. I will say that. I believe that Notre Dame deserves to be in over Alabama, even though I don't believe Notre Dame has really played anybody or beaten anyone. Their best win is USC. They can talk to me about metrics and all this other stuff and everything, but also Notre Dame didn't play a lot of defenses that were in the top 40. The two defenses they did, they lost to. So there's that part as well. I can't disparage Alabama for playing a tougher schedule and being in a tougher conference because they've made that choice to get that smoke. Notre Dame's going to have to make a choice. And they're going to have to want to get that smoke. So this has been a minute with Music Nerd celebrating number 7 seed is going to be against Texas A&M in Kyle Field, December 20th at high noon Eastern Time, 11 a.m. local time, like I am. I'm looking forward to this. I can't wait for this. This is kind of a dream come true, really. Like seeing Miami in the playoffs, seeing Miami competing for number 6. It's been a very long time, 25 years since we can say they've been competing for a championship. So we will see how then we're going to be talking about this and expanding upon it, expanding on the Notre Dame part of it, the ACC part of it. We will be discussing in our podcast, and we're going to try to have everybody together. We may be missing one or two, but it's going to be most of the full panel. So we will see y'all then. Thank you so much. Music Nerd out. Later.